So school-generated funds are those monies that are collected from students, those funds that come in through commissions for yearbooks, vending machines, cafeteria commissions in secondary schools, funds that are generated through a fundraising event, for instance, at a school. Also the school councils who operate separate from the school, if you will, they run their own fundraising events, etc., but they are part of the school-generated funds and are reported separately, but part of that accounting.
School-generated funds are a mechanism that are used to provide additional opportunities to students. They really provide a benefit to the learning and achievement of our students. It's important that we secure and otherwise put appropriate measures in place such that that money is spent on its intended purpose to provide those opportunities to our students. There's also an aspect that we need to consider of instilling public confidence in a publicly funded education system. By appropriately managing those financial resources, we will be able to achieve that goal.
With respect to the types of funds that are collected and how they come in, school boards have had different experiences with this. Cash is generally seen as acceptable. However, I would not be sending $200 with my child to school in cash. Checks are also have been seen to be problematic because schools have experienced checks with not sufficient funds available once they've gone to deposit them. And some of the problem also exists when you have long periods of time between collection and deposit. So parents, etc., who are providing those checks sometimes lose track of that. So some boards have stopped accepting checks, some boards have stopped accepting cash, and some have gone to exclusively Visa or debit.
With respect to the use of debit and credit cards, there will be a fee associated with it. Different school boards will have a different approach to this. One item of note is that the more frequent or the larger volume of debit and credit card transactions that you have, the lower the fee that's associated with those particular mechanisms. However, schools will need to be mindful that there are transaction fees associated with the use of debit and credit cards, and will need to account for that whenever they develop a plan for the use of those funds.
Certainly in today's society, it is a great idea to have that cashless aspect to it. I think it's important, though, that principals remember that they have to follow what the business procedures are within the board and make sure that that's a viable way to go. I can see that being very positive with parents, so using debit or credit, but we have to understand that there are also fees attached with that, and the board needs to deal with that particular business transaction.
School boards will be in a variety of positions to accept these different types of currency. But optimally reducing the amount of cash that comes into our schools helps to reduce some of the risk associated with the handling, counting, and transportation of cash to a financial institution. This will again be a decision that is unique to each individual school board based on the options available to them and the policies and procedures that govern them.
But it may be that some school boards aren't quite there yet, or some schools aren't there. And I would caution principals to always go back, talk to your business department, talk to your family of schools superintendent, and if you have an idea of using debit or a credit card, you have to work with the business department of your board. It's not something that you should venture out on your own and try doing. There needs to be protocols in place. There are fees associated with credit card use and debit use, and it's a great idea to go that way. A number of boards have, but again, work with your business department, work with your school board to see if that's a viable way to go.
When it comes to school-generated funds, each board will have a set of policies and procedures to help govern and manage the collection of those funds.
Those policies would include things like who's responsible for the collection of, accounting for, reporting of, and what various levels of responsibility.
There should be documents in place that help to articulate the roles and responsibilities for administrators, secretarial staff, and frontline staff collecting money from students. There should also be policies and procedures in place that address how that money is deposited and further accounted for by the organization itself.
School boards have policies in place. They are important to direct some consistency with respect to how money is accounted for, how money is reported, what kinds of funds they can collect. Do they come in cash, check? Some school boards now are moving to Visa and debit collections. So those are the types of funds that are collected.
We have to have policies and procedures in place so that principals have a very clear expectation of how they're to govern those funds. After all, it is public generated money, and there is a responsibility of overseeing those funds and making sure that they're used for the purposes intended. So there's a fiduciary responsibility tied to that, and accountability. It's something that the public expects when they're paying money for pizza or milk or whatever it happens to be, that whatever funds are generated from that, they're going to be spent on the students in a purposeful way. And I think, from the perspective of the Principals Council, we want to make sure that our principals are following the procedures and protocols in place within boards so that there is no question of a misappropriation of funds or mismanagement of funds. So we really see those procedures as being really important, and they protect our members, provided they're following them.